Hi, everyone. This is David Paskowitz. I've got a great tip to share with you, teaching students how to research efficiently. It's called Find, Click, and Keep. I've got 3 tips for you. Tip number 1 is using the Find tool inside of your browser. Imagine we are searching for Martin Luther King. I just type in MLK. Oh boy, aren't I efficient? We know how this works, right? We tell our students, all right, you're doing a research project on Martin Luther King Jr., go. Every kid opens their device, they start searching. And normally what they do is whatever the first link is, they click on it and they read it. And they read it and they read it and they read it. And honestly, whether it's good or not, whether it's credible or not, they're going to use it because they've just invested so much time in the research. So I want to talk about a few things today that will help students search a little bit better. The first thing we're going to talk about is the find feature. Now, on any great American or any great topic, we are going to find a lot of detail about this person's life. However, I want to focus only on Martin Luther King's church, the Ebenezer Baptist Church. So rather than looking and looking and looking and looking and looking for it, scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, I'm just going to use the Control F feature to find, and I'm going to type EBENE. There we are. The Ebenezer Baptist Church is mentioned 6 times on this page. I can go through, but notice what we've done here. Rather than reading the entire Martin Luther King Jr. entry on Wikipedia, I've done this in a few seconds. That is find. Control F to find on page, or if you're a Mac user, Command F. Here's the second tip. Imagine, though, I'm going to go back to my Google page right here, and there are so many options. Well, what students might do is they might click on this one right here, Britannica.com. It takes them to the website and they start reading again. Well, I don't want students to do just that. What I suggest students do, rather than just diving in and reading deeply the first topic that they find, the first source that they find, what I encourage students to do is something like on my favorite cooking shows. They do this on Cutthroat Kitchen, maybe MasterChef, where the chefs have a task. They're all sent into the pantry for a few minutes and they start gathering everything they can. They've got asparagus, they've got canned chicken noodle soup, they've got baking powder, and they're throwing everything in because maybe it will work. They're not sure, but knowing what their task is, they're going to grab as many things as possible that seem appropriate. So that's what we're doing here. I've got my Google search engine right here, and I'm going to hold down my control button on my keyboard, command on a Mac, and watch what happens when I click it. Click, and you'll see at the top, the tab opens in a new tab, but it does not change my screen. Oh, Nobelprize.org. This is great. History.com. At this point, it really would be good to talk to our students about what makes a credible website. .orgs, .coms. What does .com mean? There are people somehow making money off of this. .edu and .gov might be more credible sources. We've talked about those already. So now my students, just by looking at the URL, they're not married to any of these sites, but you know what? That one might be good. TheKingCenter.org. Yes, biography.com. Okay, NAACP.org, National Geographic. All right. So this was my first blast, my first trip to the pantry, and I've gathered a lot of sources. I haven't read anything yet. I'm really only going off of the URL. I will still need to judge them for credibility next. But again, I haven't wasted my time on reading only one. I've gathered widely. So now at this point, I have a bunch of different tabs. This is the third step here. This is keep. You may have, when you were doing research for high school or college, taken all of your notes on 3x5 note cards. You had the book title, you had all of the citations and any details that you have from that book. You would write everything down on a note card. Well, this is the modern version of that. Maybe I'm going to search down, oh, you know what? I really like this right here. And again, I'm just kind of skimming, but it might work for me. I am not really married to anything just yet. Now, there's a Google app that some of us may use. It's called Google Keep, and it is a list making app. Pretty great for your weekend to do lists or your shopping list, whatever. But I like students to use it for research. What I've done is I've highlighted this and I come over here to my extension. I've got the Google Keep extension here. And notice what happens. It gives me the URL, it gives me the title of the page, and that little bit that I highlighted, it saves it. Now I'm going to come over here next. Oh, just skimming, skimming, skimming. Oh, he won the Nobel Prize. I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to save this to Google Keep. Let's go to Google Keep. Notice what I have here. All of my most recent Google Keeps are up here near the top. But what I can do is I can create labels. I'm going to call this MLK essay. Sure, I can do that. I could add another one. Maybe I'm going to call this one. I can separate my research project into different pieces. Maybe I've got one called Early History. Maybe I've got one called Influence on Modern Society. I can create all of these, and then I can organize all of my note cards. I can color code them. And maybe I've got a certain color coding uh, strategy here. All of the turquoise are early life. All of the purples are his influence on modern society. And I can make sure that these have certain labels. So I come in here, click Add Label, and I'm going to call this one MLK Essay, and I'm going to call this one MLK Essay as well. And I can do this for all of my little Google Keep tabs right there. Our students have to do research, and most times we don't really give them too much instruction. But with the find, click, keep strategy, using these three tools, our students are going to be more efficient and be able to spend more time on actually reading, analyzing, and understanding the sources rather than finding sources. I hope this helps. Let me know.